السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. And we are live.
السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. كيف الحال كوتش كريم؟
الحمد لله رب العالمين. We miss you يا أخي. Where you
الحمد
been?
لله. حياك الله. I'm here. الحمد لله.
Wallahi, mashallah. How you been, Coach Kareem? It's been a minute, man. We haven't done any shows together, any of us, man. I mean, maybe you guys have, but I've actually killed my my entire live show thing for a minute.
Don't worry, guys. Don't worry. The gang is back. Halal Bad Boys is back.
Indeed, mashallah, mashallah. So, shall we just jump right in?
Yes, Bismillah, please. So first of all, just what inspired this? Because this has been on my mind a lot. Yeah, but I want to know your thought. What process you reached to get to this point? What inspired this live? What have you seen? What have you consumed that you said, you know what, khalas, we need to do a live on this now?
Well, you know, me personally, I've been seeing a lot of brothers come in looking for help, looking for assistance, looking for a means to deal with the modern woman, including the Muslim one, who are largely affected by Western society, gynocentrism, feminism mostly, and just a hot mess that, over, sisters that are desensitized to quality, attention, and deference from men because they're being desensitized, and basically their entire dopamine receptors have been dumbed down from social media, and so brothers are out looking for help. They're looking for assistance, and they turn to red pill and other stuff to try and help navigate life and trying to get a relationship with these modern women. With that comes, of course, red pill and the realities of women in the modern day age. And it's my humble estimation that a lot of the nature as it was created by Allah is being corrupted by socialization. It is actually, if we look at the Great Mouse Utopia experiment, we see that you can actually, socialize out of animals their natural instincts, their basic imperatives that Allah, their biological imperatives as Allah has programmed inside of people. So I think we're seeing the same thing happen right now. So with that comes a harsh reality that a lot of brothers are becoming distraught about, in terms of when they look at the reality of what they're dealing with. It seems almost like an insurmountable, this is coming to the point of why I came to this insurmountable mountain and task of learning what's necessary and becoming what's necessary to attract basically a basic bent in 2022. And guys are just the juice isn't worth the squeeze, because when they look at what they have to do in comparison to what they're going to get, I don't cook, I don't clean, it's not your hawk, and you can't get another wife, and I'm not going to sleep with you like it's your Islamic right when you want to, or if you do, I'm going to call it marital forced stuff, and so they're just getting all these conditions and no real benefit in being with a woman. It's yo, if you brothers are looking at yo, I got to be top of my game in everything I do, you know what I mean? I don't get a day off from that. And then I get this sister who just seems to think her presence and bad attitude deserve all of that. And so brothers are just yo, I'm seeing comment after comment after comment. Yo, this is just why would I go through all this? What am I working for? What would I work my butt off for this? And so I'm seeing a lot of this lately.
I mean, subhanAllah, I just had this very question on somebody called into my show the other day. I took a clip actually and put it on my channel, and the thumbnail I used was "Be Gay." That was the title of my thumbnail. And the reason why is because he said to me, similar to what you said just now, which was, all I'm seeing is that these girls, they're just not what he said. I really believe that it's not worth marrying a woman in 2022. And I said to him, okay. And I said to him, why do you say that? And he said to me, because of all of the reasons that you just listed. And then I said to him, okay, well, then be gay. See, the thing is, you don't have a choice. What are you going to do, bro? What are you going to do? You have to figure this puzzle out, because frankly, there isn't another option. There isn't another species. This is it. You have to figure it out, And then I asked him as well. I said to him, how many sisters have you spoken to? He said to me 6. I said to him, Habibi, respectfully, you just haven't spoken to enough women. Like with the greatest of 6, and you reach this conclusion. He said to me, "Well, you know, it's hard, the rejection and so on." I said to him, "Do you know what else is hard? Being single is hard. Not having halal sexual outlet is hard. Excuse the pun. Literally, it's hard. Pick your hard. Do you understand?"
Absolutely.
Yeah, I guess it's a little bit harsh, Mahdi, to tell someone he sees the marriage is high risk to be gay. Like if you look at from a historical standard, only 45% of the men that ever lived on this planet got married they got reproduced. 45%. So
Mm.
more than half of the men in the human history is gay. No, there was not gay. So just they can't.
That's my
So
British humor, Coach Kareem. That's my British humor.
yeah, and then there is a lot of famous scholars such as I guess Ahmad bin Hanbal, Ibn Taymiyyah, and a lot like more than 50 in the Islamic history. They never get married, but
Mm.
they was not gay. They was busy doing something else, and like they can control themselves. Like they're okay, everything is under control. I don't have time for this. I'm busy doing something else.
But to my understanding, they
But
had
I figure
concubines, right? Because I heard Ibn Taymiyyah
no
never got married,
no.
but he had 2 concubines.
I don't think so. No, no. A
Mm.
lot of them they died. They died virgin. It is not. It is not the major. The major issue. But
Mm.
my take on this is there is some guys in some cases they say that, and I believe that's gonna be temporary. So just go along with it. Go along with it. Like
Mm.
yeah, you're in the red pill rage.
Yeah.
You're angry on the system. It is not fair game. Yes, that's right. Most of the modern human, like modern woman, is corrupted. Yes, you're right. But when he reached that level of healing, that he can understand the reality and deal with it, so he can figure it out. Like just give him time. That's most probably is temporary. And by the way, most of the guys that say they say that, from my experience, from the demographic that I dealt with, most of them they cannot get married. They
Why?
can't. They
Why?
can't get married. Financial reasons or lack of understanding of female nature, or both together.
Mm.
So
Okay. Well, I mean, okay, I covered this on a stream the other day, and seeing as I have, 2 knowledgeable brothers, let me pose this to you. Okay.
mm,
I have had a number of sisters, a handful of sisters, but a number nonetheless, who have either approached me directly or have asked me to help them find the following arrangement. And that arrangement is, for want of a better word, a part-time husband. They are usually single mums. They're usually 2, 3 times divorcees, couple of baby daddies, maybe more. And they want a husband to come over just once or twice a week. They don't want him to mix with the children. She doesn't want to have more children because she doesn't want to be another baby mama. And frankly speaking, she's just looking for a halal arrangement. This is what she's looking for, right?
mm.
What do you say to this, gentlemen? This is a request from the women. I know this is very convenient for the men, but this request is coming from these sisters. Now, typically the age of these sisters is mid 30s slash early 40s, sometimes even a bit older. So they're not young women, right? But they feel like, I've tried the whole marriage thing. I tried it twice. I tried it 3 times. It failed. Now I'm a 2 times baby mama. I've got my own job. I've got my own thing. I don't want to have to worry about looking and cooking and taking care of a husband full time. This is what I'm looking for. What do you think about this as a potential solution?
Uh, if I was in that like on the other party, I will make it a demand to give back the children to their dad if they are above 7 for male, 9 for female.
Well, I don't understand. What do you mean exactly?
I will demand her to give her children back to their father if they are above 7 for male, 9 for female.
Even if
She's
she
just
only sees you once a week?
No, I do not like the possibility of me marrying such women is minus 100. It's
Well,
not zero.
I'll tell you where this can be this can work. If you already have a wife or possibly two wives whom you have made the mother of your children and whom you have a relationship with. Sorry, guys. Or or if you are a brother who is struggling to get married for whatever reason, in business, let me give you an analogy. In business, sometimes when you want to penetrate a market, you can't compete with the big boys on the products that they are making. These are mainstream products. They've just got too much domination. So what you do is you go into a small niche product that not many people know about, and you get a reputation for being the best in that tiny little niche. Now that you've got this reputation, people will follow you once you release more newer products, and eventually you want to actually release the product that you always wanted to release in the first instance. What's my point here? A lot of brothers, because they have been sexually deprived for so long, because they are so sexually frustrated, their ability to interact and deal with a woman or a sister during the courtship phase is heavily compromised because he's coming from a position of neediness, because he's genuinely needy, he's sexually frustrated, and it becomes this compounding cycle of failure. But if he had this halal outlet with a sister who actually wanted this arrangement, he would be able to deal with a woman with another woman, that is, with a much clearer head, a clearer mind. Whereas this first woman has made it quite clear, I'm not looking for a full-time thing. I just want it part-time. And he says, okay, that's fine. You can have that part-time, but I'm going to look for another woman over here who does want to be the mother of my children, and so on. What do you think, gentlemen?
I believe it's not considered shari if the both party entered the marriage with the intention of having no future children.
Is it? I don't know about that.
Yeah. This is one of the main intent in the marriage, to replicate for nasl.
I can't speak on. I don't know anything else.
Yeah, I
So
don't
AbuAmerican,
know.
it is something like zawaj mut'a, basically.
no, zawaj mut'a, the distinction with the mut'a is that there is a clear end date. We are getting married at such and such time, and we will divorce at such and such time. This is mut'a.
Yeah, I
Whereas
know.
with
It
this,
is like it. It is not. It's not typical. It's not zawaj mut'a. It's more like misyar in Saudi
it's
Arabia. But
misyar. It's exactly
yeah,
what it is. It's misyar.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's not accepted in the rest of the Arab world. Like,
When
no,
you say not accepted, you mean shar'i or culturally?
exactly.
both and legally.
Never mind legal. I'm talking because in the UK we're just dealing with Sharia. Really, I understand in the Arab world maybe there are other factors you have
We
to
have
consider
shari
with the
court.
law.
We have
So
shari court.
the misyar marriage is halal. It's halal firstly and foremost. It's not haram, misyar marriage, but it's her prerogative if she wants to give up those rights. You cannot force her.
Yeah, I've heard the ulama say this also is permissible, but they don't recommend it.
Yeah,
Okay,
it ups to the ruler to make it permissible or not. And the rulers, like it is shari. There are scholars who make the rules in the sharia court, for example, in Jordan.
hmm,
So it is not legal, it is not shari, and it's not acceptable by the people.
okay. But again, I go back to my original point. You mentioned just now the point of a marriage is to have children, which I fundamentally agree with. But looking at this unique example, the sister, she's 42. She's got 3 baby daddies. She doesn't want any more children. She's a 3 times divorcee. She's probably got quite a few complications as well. But she doesn't want to die alone. She wants a husband, but she doesn't want him full time. She's had to figure things out for herself. She has a job. She has her own thing going on. She just doesn't want him around all the time. She probably knows herself. She probably knows she can't deal with a husband full time. She's just not good at it. Either we offer her this solution or she buys a cat and dies alone.
What do you think about American? I
I
want
think
to
it's
hear
a
from you.
I think it's a manageable. I think it's I think it's sad, but I think it's acceptable solution for some
It
of these
is
situations.
sad for sure. It's definitely
Yeah.
sad.
I think it's sad, but it's acceptable, and I think it also serves a purpose for like a lot of brothers out here right now that are really struggling and like just having a hard time. I think
I'll tell you what, let me read this message because I did a poll on my Instagram about this yesterday. And one sister actually responded to my poll. And this is what she said. Yeah, this is a legit account, by the way. She said, The question was, just so that you know, does a part-time husband suit your lifestyle better than a full-time husband? Okay. She clicked yes. And then she responded the following. It keeps excitement in the relationship. Seeing each other every day can be too much. Having space is nice, and then you look forward to seeing him, and it gives you the time to balance everything out at home. I have children, so I'd prefer this. Better to give my children quality time and then husband quality time. Better balance, healthier relationships, less fighting, more loving. That was her response. She actually prefers this setup.
Look, if the man, like if the woman was asking me, I'll tell her, good for you. Like, go try to get someone. If a man was asking me, I'll tell him no. Never ever accept such things. Why? Because it is like minimizing the authority, minimizing the never accept a relationship with female without to be in superior position. And if in order to be in superior position, you don't have to have 48 hours in the woman's week. Like the first element, the two main element that you can control a woman in the Islamic marriage is her time and her body. You're not controlling her time and you're not controlling her body. So where is
Yeah,
it? Like,
I don't
where's your
see
qawama exactly?
I don't see this type of arrangement lasting the test of time, if that's what you're asking. I don't see this type of arrangement lasting the test of time because there's just too many important pillars missing. However, like I said, it's a bad solution to a bigger problem because it's that or zina. And the premise of the Sharia is to protect people from zina. And a lot of these women, it's like, listen, is this or is zina? Like, what then? I know it's unsavory and it's hard on the ear, but what else do we do? Perhaps this is a discussion for students of knowledge or shuyukh, to be honest, because this is dealing with matters of the deen and it's certainly above my pay grade. So,
I mean, sort of tying it into the topic. I mean, we definitely see like a problem in the West where it's like we have these sisters that are they've overshot the man they're looking for. You know, they've climbed the career ladder, they've got education. We know that women they marry laterally or above, but they don't marry below. And we have more and more of these sisters because we have like a large number of brothers who get it, or a small number of brothers who get it. You know, that you just, if you want the best, you got to be the best. And you got that large number of brothers who think, you know, that you could just, you know, hully wully it into like a marriage with a, you know, with a decent sister. And yeah, these guys, they're competing with the guys that watch our channels. And these are the guys that know that they need to be in fitness, need to get their money right, need to have their religion right. They need to be like socially, you know, fit, physically fit. And then we've got like a large number of other guys who are just coming in the door all late to the party, you know, and they're like, oh, it's too much. It's too hard. What am I going to do? Oh, these women are like this and like that. And all they do is whine and complain and moan about like the situation instead of looking for solutions and ways to fix it. And unfortunately for these sisters that are in this position, you know, whether they're super high achievers, they're baby mamas, you know, or whatever else, this is a solution that kind of comes together. You know, it's not a trifecta, but it's maybe a bifecta, you know, where we put these people together and it sort of serves a purpose for the community. Brothers who want to be, you know, low achievers and want to check out can deal with these women who don't want a guy around that's really about anything, you know. When I need you, you show up. Don't bother me about anything else. Because really, Coach Kareem's right. A woman like this is not taking orders from anybody. She's not going to take orders. She's not going to obey, you know. And so I think this is a good combination for those brothers out there who want to just, you know, cry themselves into a corner, you know, and these sisters out there who misunderstood the game and how it's supposed to be played.
Why do we have to save such women? Really, I have zero. Look, that's very important. I have zero empathy, Mahdi. Zero empathy. I'm cold like an ice when these women.
We're not saving them. We're not saving them. The problem here.
Let me elaborate on that.
Sure.
I have zero empathy for such women who destroyed her family twice or three times. She put like two men or more in jail. Like she destroyed their future and then save me. I need a part-time husband, good husband. No, no. You have bills to pay. You have bills to pay. I have zero empathy for such persons.
I'll answer
No.
that. We're not saving them. It's that there are too many brothers who are also single and struggling to find themselves the type of woman that they would prefer to be with. So they are left with two choices: remaining single or this bad, but nevertheless, solution.
Yeah.
And it's a tough place to be. If you're a brother, okay, I got a friend who's been he's been single now for a long time, and let's just keep it at that. All right, he's been single for a very long time, so long that he gets stuck in his own head whenever he starts talking to another sister, and he almost goes into a self-sabotage mode because he's been single for so long. He's like, oh, hold on, this is going too well, you know, there has to be a problem with it. And I can see him self-sabotaging. And the longer he remains single in this state, the worse this problem is becoming. It's not getting better. And he's been single a long time. I don't want to say how long, but we're talking years, many years. It's not normal for a man to not have a sexual outlet for years on end. This is unhealthy. There's a syndrome for it. It's called blue ball syndrome. It's unhealthy. It plays with you in more ways than one. You know, you hear of the abundance mindset thing within the whole personal development world, right? I heard Oprah, my wife was telling me, Oprah apparently said once, I never spend more than 17 seconds thinking about a problem. After that, I eliminate it. I said, I get out of here. It's all right to say when you're a billionaire in your ivory tower. But what about when you don't have money to pay rent in 2 days' time? You have to keep thinking about the damn problem. What's my point? My point is, when you are in abundance, you're able to operate with abundance. But when you've got to pay the rent in 2 days' time, when you don't have abundance, when you don't have halal outlet, you become desperate in your attempts and in your dealings with women. And it really just becomes this self-fulfilling, downward spiraling prophecy or perpetuation of bad results, bad outcomes. Like you said yourself, Coach Kareem, the majority of men don't reproduce. And we have an overwhelming number of incels, involuntary celibate men now. This requires a solution of some sort. We can speak here till we're blue in the face. Sisters, you need to do this, that, and the third, and so on and so forth. That's great.
Do it.
But then what? What next?
I suggest learn how to control yourself. Like it is not easy.
That's
I
too
know.
cliche. That's too cliche. That's too
No,
cliche.
no. It is not cliche. It is not cliche.
It's too easy to say, Coach. I agree with you. I agree you should control yourself. But Allah has created you with the urge for this release. So it's easy to say control yourself. But like it's easy for me to say that. I have a wife, I have an outlet. But how dare I say that to the man who has been single for 6, 7, 8, 9 years, kept himself from haram? I can't say that to him. That's like a millionaire telling a homeless person, you need to have an abundance mindset. Don't think about your problems for any longer than 17 seconds.
I disagree also, Coach Kareem. I disagree with you on this one. This is an issue that I have.
But guys, that I'm not married yet.
I know.
Oh, really?
And every condition and every situation is different. Every man is unique and in a unique situation. But here's the thing. This is something I say all the time, and it's the area of contention I take with Muslim parents in general. They send their children to university where they're amongst people of their peer group, young, super high testosterone, super high estrogen. They are in their absolute sexual prime. And then when they say, hey, I want to get married, they tell them be patient. Meanwhile, mom, who says be patient, and dad, who says be patient, they go into the bedroom and they play the happy monkey slap dance, while Ahmed and Habiba are, just sweating it out at the university, like, be patient, be patient. There's Khalid. Allahu Akbar. Look at his biceps. Khalid's in the gym working out, trying to sweat it out. It's making it worse because it's increasing his testosterone. He's like, why is my working out not working? It's a kind of disingenuous. Now, obviously, you're going to have individuals that are not going to have particular drive. There is, the unique individual cases. But in general, with 7 billion people on the planet, we get the idea that self-control and self-restraint in terms of human reproduction is not a general norm.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
And it's the reason why, subhanAllah, that the reward for withholding yourself from zina is so great. It wouldn't be so great if it wasn't so hard in the first place. It's hard. Now, I agree with you fundamentally, Coach Green, that you should control yourself. Taban. That's like telling a hungry person, be patient. You know, all right, there's no food, but be patient. I agree, be patient. Because I'm looking for a solution. I need to eat, man. Like, and it infuriates these brothers when they hear from us married men, be patient. Be
Well,
patient.
let me respond quickly for that. If you like, if you really can't control yourself and you want to be a weekend dildo in an older woman hand and an emotional tampon for Friday and Saturday, you you're really seeing this as a better solution. Go ahead, go ahead. For me, I don't recommend it for guys. That's it.
Emotional tampon. I mean, I don't know about that.
Yeah, he's an emotional tampon and the weekend dildo. So he's not a husband. Do not tell me he's a husband. No.
Yeah.
No,
Well, we have to use the placeholder term husband because we're Muslims, right? So Islamically, he's a husband. Otherwise, it's an arrangement with an
Islamically,
indefinite.
look. Islamically, the man who got kicked in the balls in every single day, who got stepped on his face, he's still Islamically husband. But you know what I mean by the context when I say like he's a weekend dildo, he's not a husband.
He doesn't have that qawama.
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
This is why the ulama oppose Masara marriages. They say you have no qawama in the house.
Sahih.
Yeah. But what's your guys' take? What have you guys been seeing? I've been seeing a lot of guys talking about checking out, and I made 2 videos. One, I was kind of bashing the dudes on the head that want to check out, and then another one, I was kind of like, what's the word in German to say kulant? I was kind of like, all right, look, I get it, but it's like you said, be gay. It's like, what are you going to do? What are the options here? The idea isn't, and I just want to circle back to the topic. Anybody watching this, we're going to sort of jump here. We're going to jump topics here real quick. Guys, if you're watching this, the entire point of Red Pill and all of this information isn't to make you lose hope. We're literally, everybody plays, all y'all guys playing these Call of Duty, PUBG, or whatever that stuff is, all these stupid video games. Everybody wants the cheat codes. And then when you finally get the cheat codes, you're like, oh, I still got to play. It's like, we're giving you the cheat codes. You understand. If you understand the outcomes, guess what? You can control them. You got the cheat codes, and now you're talking about quitting. I don't understand. Guys, it doesn't come for free. Anything that's worth anything doesn't come for free. So
I believe to get married is one of the greatest motivation for the human males in general in his life. So it is a powerful, energizing drive to keep him on his toes, like to get from him the maximum power and achievement, and to enlighten his brain to try to learn and get more and more things, more achievement in life, be a real better person. And you can get married. You can get married. Marrying by itself, I believe it is not a great accomplishment. It is not a great accomplishment. But to get a good marriage is a great accomplishment. So, because anybody have $50 in the US can get married in 1 hour in the court. That's it. So it's not a great accomplishment, but finding a good wife under a good circumstances with good conditions, Sharia conditions, from a good family, and to start you building your family, that's accomplishment. Not the marriage itself is accomplishment.
I'm gonna circle this back to this discussion real quick about AbuAmerican. I hope you don't mind, because
no, please do.
I've spent so much time, because the majority of my demographic are young men, right? And young men are at their most virile. I've spent so much time pondering this problem. It really genuinely bothers me, the amount of young men who are single, whether it's through fault of their own or not, is a different discussion. But it's just too many. It's just too many, and it's a big problem. And inevitably, we will have a rise in zina as a result of this. And I can see there's one comment here in the chat in response to what I was saying around about needs. And he says, no food is a need. If you don't have food, you will die. If you don't do zina, you won't die. That is true. You won't die if you don't commit zina, but you're going to live in a world of pain. If I cut your arm off, you're not going to die so long as we, cauterize it or something, but you're going to be in a world of pain. It's not healthy. It is not healthy. Now, I would much prefer for all Muslim men in this utopian ideal that I'm about to speak of to have a good Muslim wife who takes care of him and la-di-da-di-da. But in the world of Instagram, the globalized village, okay, I watched a Jordan Peterson podcast with an economist, I forget his name, black gentleman, and they were discussing the Pareto principle, 80-20. And he mentions in there that as technology advances, the Pareto principle will become more and more distorted. It's no longer 80-20. It's something along the lines of 95-5. 5% of the workforce produce 95% of the productivity. And as technology advances, this will become more and more profound. Allow me to explain. Back in the day, the Andrew Tates of the world, the Dan Bilzerians of the world, 150 years ago, didn't have an internet connection, didn't have an aeroplane, and had a horse and cart. That meant that the Dan Bilzerians and Andrew Tates of 150 years ago would have access to all the women as far as a horse and cart could take them. No such thing, or maybe a ship, right? Even then, it's going to take you ages to travel. But then what happened with the advent of the aeroplane? Now that individual, that Dan Bilzerian, that Andrew Tate, was able to get on a plane and have access to an even more women. But then what happened with the advent of the internet? Instagram has now connected us all in this global village where all women are seeing these, big characters, I can't think of a better word for it, these bombastic characters, and desiring these individuals, which means now that Pareto principle is no longer 80-20. The Andrew Tates and Dan Bilzerians of the world have access to around 95% of any women they want. And then the remaining 5% is left to everyone else to fight it out. What do we do? Because I agree, you should level up and man up and get your money right. And I'm with you. And I agree with all of that. But you know what? Since when did I have to be a top 10% man to get an average bint, like AbuAmerican would say? This is like some nonsense, bruv. Why do I have to be top 10% to get average ukhti? Average, I don't know. Do you understand? So
I don't think, I think there's a little bit exaggeration here, Mahdi.
Watch the podcast with Jordan Peterson. It's actually not an exaggeration.
I saw it.
You saw it.
But
so you'll see the part
you can get married like in Africa for $200.
Well, I mean, it's not the money that's the problem, Coach Kareem. It's the mentality of the women. What do the women want?
No. There is a lot of women in low socioeconomic countries. They're still good. Like, it's not corrupted as the West are.
That's a minority. We're dealing with the majority of the world, and the majority of men in the world today are sexless. They don't have an outlet. They're sexless. Elon Musk, one of his concerns for the future is that the middle class is going to be completely squeezed out. Completely. And one of the reasons for that is the development of technology. As technology advances, we will have less and less need and use for human beings to perform tasks. Okay? More and more productivity will be produced by less and less of the population, which means that the wealthy will become wealthier, and the poor will inevitably become poorer, because that's what technology does. Technology rewards the best with all the winnings. Michael Saylor spoke about this actually in one of his podcasts with regards to Bitcoin. And he was talking about the S&P 500. And he said, if you look at the S&P 500, which is the top 500 blue chip companies in America, he said, if you put your investment in all 500 companies, you would have made, give or take, 10% each year on year. Roughly, the S&P gives you a 10% return. But he said 5 of those companies, the FANG companies, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and Google, produced 85% of all profits. What was his point? His point was, when you invest in all of the S&P 500, you are selling the winner to buy the loser. So as technology advances and we become more sophisticated, we reward more and more the winner exclusively. 150 years ago, if you wanted to listen to the opera, you would have had to get in your horse and car and travel to the opera. That means you can only travel so far, 50 miles maybe less even. That meant that more opera singers could make a living from singing the opera because there was not as much competition. Now you can buy the very best opera singer's CD in the world. Are you going to travel to the 50th best opera singer, or are you going to buy the CD or the album or stream or download for the very best opera singer on the planet? As technology advances, we reward the best more and more, and everyone else loses out. And this is not unfair. It's just the nature of advancement.
It's kind of hard to disagree.
Okay. Let me think. Yeah, go ahead, AbuAmerican. Go ahead.
No. I mean, it's kind of a hard point to disagree. Just boiling it down to the brass tacks, you know, it is, or coming back to an initial point. I'm trying to think of the words I want to say here. I understand the hard sell for brothers to like put in all this work, like I said, to get a basic bin. You know, it's really like, bros, what do you say, man? You said it all, bro. Jazakallah. There you can't.
Yeah. I believe your like your suggestion or your explanation is from very close perspective, which is the Eastern European or American society, which is corrupted to a very high degree.
So which point do you disagree with, Coach Kareem?
I'm not disagreeing. I'm telling you that's right, but not for all the planet. So,
but is it for most of the planet?
Not to the same degree.
But is it most or is it less than most?
Not to the same degree. No, if I want to take it half and half, no, more than half of the planet does not have such a problem to that degree that you're describing.
Which problem?
Yeah, I'm elaborating. Just let me explain it. In East Europe, you can get married for less than $500, and the vast majority of the
But
Middle
what does
East,
that mean? You can buy a woman? How does this work?
Buy a woman? No, it's
so
not
then what?
buying. You can get married, like it will not cost you. I'm not saying to buy the woman for.
No, but how do you convince the woman to marry you in the first place? That's the issue here.
Well, you can travel. You can travel. You can use your connection if you have connection in East European countries. You can go to Asia. There's Indonesia. There is Malaysia.
This is my point, Coach Kareem, is that I understand these solutions. You know, they're fair. It's fair game. But my point is, the cost of marriage is not the issue here. You can get married for a lot less than that in the UK. Registry office doesn't cost that much. The issue is, how do I convince, as an average Abdullah, how do I convince a sister or sell myself to a sister to want to marry me in the first place when all she follows and sees online are these exceptional characters and individuals? And she has this tainted idea of what a man should be.
There is a girls that they don't know what is online.
And this is a minority of women. I'm dealing with the majority.
Okay, it's not minority. Okay, let me break it down a little bit more and more. There's a lot of Muslim women from Asia, from Middle East, from Africa. Like, even if they are online, they are not following the content that you are referring to. You know,
maybe.
So they do not have that level of delusion that girls have in Paris and London.
That I agree with. It's definitely contextual. I can't speak for Africa. I don't really know much about Africa. I mean, I had one gentleman from Africa DM me, and he said to me, "These problems you speak of, they are not exclusive to Europe. We are suffering from them here in Africa as well." But that's one individual, and I don't know him personally, and I don't know the situation in Africa. All I can say is this: is that the situation, as technology advances, is becoming hard. The game is becoming harder. It is becoming harder, because as technology advances, it rewards the winners with more and the losers with less. It really is winner takes all. It really is, especially in an advanced, technologically developed world.
Yeah, that's very very long term, Mahdi.
It's
Very very
happening
long
now.
term.
It's happening as we
Yeah,
speak.
I don't think it's
No,
very.
not really. It will never replace the human being by a huge percentage in the next like 10 to 20 years. No.
No, I think you misunderstand what he's saying. The point is this: you have two brothers. We have Ahmed and Khalid, right? They're both in university. Ahmed just goes to university. Oh, it's hard. I'm just going to study. Khalid studies and he goes to work. They both finish university. Khalid's got cash stacked because he was working through university and he's developed a mindset that's very hard. He's doing what he's supposed to be doing. He's been working out. He works a job and he studies. He doesn't use school as an excuse not to do anything else. When they get out of school, Khalid's already got an advance. He's got money stacked up. He's got a mentality of hard work and discipline. And then to top it off, he has work experience. So in a short time, let's say right after university, because he kept working through university 4 years with low costs, he meets a sister in Indonesia. Now, Ahmed and Khalid meet two sisters in Indonesia. Ahmed, he just finished school. Now he needs to go find a job. Khalid's got money. So now Khalid is the winner. What happens? Khalid says, okay, I've got money stacked up for the past 4 years of my studies, maybe 6 years if he did a medical, or a high level engineering degree. Boom. He jumps on a plane, goes to Indonesia, gets married. Ahmed's like, oh man, I got to work 3-4 years to do what Khalid was doing before. So the reality is, yes, the winner takes all. And the winner is the person who develops the mindset and the habits in order to win. And technology has opened the door for him to actually go and find women who are pro-cooperative in their attributes, as to where Ahmed's stuck in his local region and he's just in despair because all he's seeing is these angry Vince that want 50,000 maher. Well, Khalid's like, yo, screw this. Guess what? I'm out.
Yeah.
Who wins? Yeah. Khalid's now happy. He's got his girl. He's happy. Ahmed's like...
And the interesting thing here with your analogy, AbuAmerican, is that in the case of Khalid's the successful one, right? In your analogy here?
Yeah.
In the case of Khalid now, it becomes success breeds more success. You ever heard the saying the first million is the hardest to make? After that, the second, third, fourth is much easier. Why? Because literally at that point, money makes money. There is a truth to the saying that money makes money. It does at a certain level. Equally, once you have a wife or two, you got social proof. Women look at that and think, there must be something about that guy that's good to have. If 2 women have chosen him or 3 women have chosen him, I want to get on his team as well. So the winner is rewarded perpetually, whilst the loser is equally not rewarded, the opposite of rewarded, in perpetuity. Punished in perpetuity as well. You see, and technology compounds that, because now Khalid, who is the winner, is able to access sisters from all around the world instead of just in Mogadishu or in Berlin or in wherever he was, which was the case 150 years ago. That's what technology does. And it's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. It just is.
Yeah.
But that leads on to what AbuAmerican is saying, which is, because of this, whether men are cognizant of the reasons or not, a lot of men are checking out. What do we do? And a lot of these red pill stuff that we talk about, the red pill realities, initially it's like, wow, it's quite amazing to hear. But then after a while, particularly if you've learned all of this and maybe you're still single or whatever, you can start to become a bit resentful. You can start to borderline hate women. Like, you become so upset with this situation. You have this knowledge and you still can't do anything with it. What do I do?
Yeah, that's childish response. I believe that's a loser's response. Like when you when you learn the rules of the chess and you look at people how they play it and how they win, but you keep complaining about how hard it is, and you keep shouting, and you start to resent the players, resent the game, resent the rules, you're just a fucking loser. Like if you're not doing anything about it, or with all the knowledge that you have, as AbuAmerican was saying, we give you the cheat code. Like do something. Do not keep complaining. Like that's feminine trait. That's feminine trait to keep complaining.
Yes, complaining.
That's so feminine traits. No.
But I'll give you a bit of pushback. There's another comment here. Why are we trying to save low value men, Mahdi? Red pill is for winners. There are no high value men if there are no low value men. I agree. There are no high value men if there are no low value men. But by definition, in order to be the proverbial high value man, you have to be top 10% in terms of your socioeconomic buying power. Bottom line, right? The individual who wrote that comment, I doubt you are top 10% man. I might be wrong, but I doubt that you are, which means you're low value by default. Now, that's okay if you're trying to do something about it, but I go back to my original point, which is I am all for personal development, becoming your best version, and on and on and on. I am with you. I am with that. But I am not for the remaining 90% of men to continue remaining single. Let's say you didn't make top 10%, you're top 20. Still top 20, right? But you're struggling to find a wife. That's not fair. Okay, it's not fair. Well, life's not fair. Okay, what's the solution, ya ikhwan? Because you know what's going to happen? We're going to have zina on the rampage, and our daughters getting mixed up with these brothers having casual sex. This requires a solution. Yeah. How do we help the remain? I'll give you another parable. Do you, gentle? I have a question to both Coach Kareem and AbuAmerican. AbuAmerican, Coach Kareem, do you know what the #1 predictor of financial success is? Out of all the different things you can think of.
Coming from a two-parent household.
Coming from a two-parent household. Okay, Coach Kareem, what's your guess?
In what level? Success on what level?
Financial success.
Financial success? Yeah. A high IQ is a good indicator of financial success.
You hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head.
There is another good indicator, such as intellect, low agreeableness, and low in neuroticism. Like these 4 is the main indicator for financial success.
The highest, as you just mentioned, the highest indicator of financial success is IQ. IQ is genetics. You are born with it.
No,
of course.
No, it is not. No,
of course, Taban. You are. Can you be an Einstein genius today if you want to? If you work hard enough?
It does not work like it. That's oversimplification.
I'll give you another example. Do you ever remember in school, if you used to do sports day? I don't know if you have sports day in Jordan, Coach Kareem, but in sports day is where all the year group gets together and we compete in different sports. And there's always that one guy who's just so much faster than everyone else.
That's not genetic superiority.
Of course, it's genetic superiority.
No. Genetic superiority is one indicator in multivariate.
It's multivariate, yes, but it's the biggest indicator.
No,
so what my point is here, of course,
it is not. No, it is not.
95%.
I'm sure about it.
95%. 95% of all Olympic 100-meter sprint gold medalists come from one small tribal location in Africa. Their heritage goes back to that. Have you ever wondered why the 100-meter lineup is always dominated by black people? Why? Genetically superior for that sport. They are This is, I hate to say it, it's a black pill reality. Genetics does play a role in strongman.
That's genetic advantage, not genetic superiority.
Yes. So if you have a genetic advantage,
one leads to the other when it comes down to interspecies or interspecies conflicts and play. And
that's a huge difference, AbuAmerican. That's a huge difference. Like you have.
I'm going to give an uncomfortable example because I'm going to talk about black people and our failures. I'm a black person. Let's look at Africa. Why is Africa always under the thumb of the world when it comes to colonialism? We have a lot of people in Africa with genetic superior in terms of the physique. They're almost, you can't really find me a place in the world where people can compete with Africans in genetics. We have strength, we have distance running, we've got like all the genetic superior markers that you can find anywhere else in the world. You know, we do very well physically. But when it comes down to like within the species, aka the human species, conflict. Well, when the British showed up in Kenya and they had rifles, what did the Africans have? Spears that were and leather shields and very crude bows and arrows. Why did they lose? This was a matter of like they were centuries behind the British at that point. There's no other reason than intelligence. And I'm not trying to insult them. I know a lot of Kenyans, they're very intelligent people. But the necessity to develop IQ was extended in Africa. Because here's the thing. Environmental pressures also affect how your intelligence plays out as a species. So if you are not smart and you're lazy in Europe, you die in the winter. There's no question about it. You cannot be dumb or lazy. But in Africa, it's summer year round. You can be lazy. You can eat fruit off a tree. You can grab some random animal running by. And you can really be dumb because you can just throw a rock and hit a dumb animal running by. You can get away with it. But in Europe, you can't do that.
I will say this. Hard work goes a long way. Jordan Peterson in this podcast has really evolved my thinking a lot, and I recommend the audience to watch it. It's I forget the name of the economist. He's an older gentleman in his 70s, but it's one of the more recent ones. You can find it on his page. It's the Pareto principle, 80-20, and he talks about that. Of course, hard work, persistence, perseverance is also an indicator of, in this example, financial success. But it is an indicator at 0.25 G. I don't know what the hell that means, but allow me to continue. The highest indicator of financial success was IQ at 0.5 G, meaning if I work 15 hours a day and Elon Musk works 15 hours a day, Elon Musk is going to whoop my ass every single time. Why? Because his IQ is estimated to be just 5 points off of Einstein's. He's just smarter than me. That's a genetic reality. In strongman, the best strongmen in the world usually are 6'6" plus. It's very rare that a heavyweight strongman underneath 6'6" wins the event. Why? Long levers. If you've ever tried to undo a nut on the wheel of your car, you will know that a short spanner is a nightmare to work with. If you want to undo a tight nut, get yourself a long lever and you'll be able to undo it with ease. Equally in strongman, if you have longer limbs, you have more room to develop the muscle mass, which means ultimately, in the end, you will push more weight than your shorter counterparts. Nature and nurture, when those two in combination together, if I work as hard as Elon Musk, we work exactly the same. Maybe I work harder than him, which is unlikely. He's still going to whoop my ass because he's smarter than me. And he was born with that. These are realities we can't keep papering over. They exist.
Okay, let me break it down this way by starting with this example, because from my understanding that you got the idea that that the IQ is purely genetic superiority.
What do you mean by genetic superiority, buddy? What does that mean?
Okay, do you believe the average IQ for a black male in Middle Africa have the same as his cousin who born and raised in Switzerland?
I don't know.
No, they don't.
I don't think environment affects. I mean, unless we're talking about on an epigenetic level, let's say 4 generations, then
it does AbuAmerican.
The same generations, the environment's not going to change its genetics.
It's not about genetic AbuAmerican. It's like the intellectual capabilities. The genetic is one small indicator in the corner.
It's the largest indicator, Kareem. That's why you're wrong. It's the largest indicator. Jordan Peterson mentions it on the podcast. It's the number one indicator of financial success. IQ, what you're born with.
Yeah, IQ. That's right. But he did not say that it's only genetic. Let me explain.
Of course not. Of course not. That's not the argument.
Let me explain.
Sure.
The 2 years college add on average around 10 to 15 score on your IQ. Why is that? Why?
But I don't disagree with you. If I take somebody who's very skinny and weak and I put him in the gym and train him hard for 2 years and make sure he eats his food and has his vitamins and his protein shakes, he's going to be bigger and stronger and buff at the end of those 2 years. I don't disagree with you.
Yeah,
But if
why
I
practicing mathematicians and engineers have higher IQ than the average person?
This is not the argument. The argument here is that when you combine nature and nurture, you have an advantage against someone who only has nurture. If someone works hard, they are going to improve, but they will not improve at the rate of the individual who has both nature and nurture, the genetic gifts and the hard work. You can't compete against that guy. It's
Well,
the same for
yeah,
all
but
sports.
but that's not like
You
that's
see
not
black
why
pill in
it's
sports a
fun.
lot, by the way. You see black. Did you ever see a 4'11" NBA guy? Or are they all 6'6" plus? Why is that? Why? That's
No,
nurture.
no, 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 no. I'm not saying that. By the way, I have an IQ score higher, three standard deviation than the average Arabic guy. Three standard deviation than the average in the Arab world. My personal IQ, and I studied this like for really long time. So as I'm telling you, the genetic let's say makeup, it plays a small role in it. Like for example, if one with a genetic advantage and one with regular genes regarding intellectual capabilities, you put them in the same circumstances, and one raised to 135, the other one can be raised like to 145. Like so, it's just less than 3%. The genetic advantage will give him less than 3 to 4% of the other person. You compare yourself with Elon Musk. Elon Musk is reading over than 60 books since 15 years.
So I'm saying, okay, in this
So you
continuing in
can't
this
compare
podcast,
you can't compare yourself with such person.
I'll
He's
But here's
continue.
the
working
thing. Here's the
he's
thing.
working with numbers since
There's a
around like 15 years.
there's a famous saying that kind of encompasses what you're talking about, and that doesn't negate what Mehdi's saying, because I do agree with him. Hard work beats talent when talent refuses to work hard. The
I
simple
agree.
fact of the matter is, all the IQ in the world, all the good genetics in the world will not help you if you're lazy. I have excellent genetics. At 50 years old, I go to the gym. Bro, I've been in the gym. I was out of the gym for almost 3 years, this entire COVID thing. I've been in the gym about a month. I'm not even regular. Bro, I've packed on like 3.5 kilos of pure muscle in those 3 weeks. Bro,
MashaAllah.
listen to that, 3.5 kilos. Do you know why? Because just genetics.
That's
So when I
genetic.
go in there and I work hard, there's guys in there, I go in there like, hey, how you doing, bro? Yeah, I did my things. I've been working out for like, the whole time. And in 3 weeks, I've surpassed his work of 3 years. There's some things that you just can't overcome. And like, there are people out there, I'm not saying I'm dumb, but there's some people out there, I work with like high achievers. And when they talk, I'm just like, wow, this guy's like on some next level stuff. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? He's on another level that I understand, although I don't think in his own way and in his own environment, he's superior to me. I don't see him as my superior. But in his specialty, bam, that guy's intelligence is untouchable. That's not a bad thing. We're gonna have to accept this. This is part of the problem. And don't think I'm jumping on you here, bro. But this kind of talk is like some of that SJW type of Western talk. We are not all the same. Just like we're not the same between men and women, we're not the same between like individuals. And sometimes that is ethnic, sometimes that is regional. Unfortunately, it's an uncomfortable conversation people don't like to have, but it's a reality.
And I don't want the brothers to interpret this as some type of doom and gloom conversation, like what the French told, what's happened to Mahdi now. I'm just simply acknowledging, because a lot of brothers get upset when brothers that they deem to be more successful than themselves, and they see maybe he's a handsome brother or he's tall or whatever, and they feel like, yeah, but you're not acknowledging the God-given gifts you were given. Women like tall men. It's not a secret. Right. So all I'm doing is simply giving space, oxygen to the acceptance that, yes, genetics does play a role. Now, we must balance that with what Coach Kareem was saying, which is you need to put in the work, because if you put in the work, you're going to outbeat talent any day of the week, which means that the talent is irrelevant at that point. I am now simply saying that the one who works hard and is talented, you can't touch him. He's on his own. No one could touch Ronnie Coleman in his prime. No one could touch Michael Phelps in his prime. No one could touch Michael Jordan in his prime. And there are not a lot of genetic elements that go in. Usain Bolt. Why was Usain Bolt so successful? I can tell you, I studied sports science. On a biomechanical level, why Usain Bolt was able to run so fast. I'll tell you why. Usain Bolt is 6'6". His cadence, his step cadence when he runs is the exact same speed as all of the other elite sprinters in the 100-meter lineup final. His legs move at the same speed as everyone else. You know what the one difference is, Coach Kareem? His stride is longer because he's 6'6". No amount of training is going to fix that. Usain Bolt is Usain Bolt because he had nurture, hard work, in combination with nature, which is his genetics. That's it.
Yeah, but like the overall of all of this, you're talking about 1/10 of the 1% of the top echelon of the performance on the planet.
Yeah,
and
for a
like,
reason.
And this is not a good example.
It is a perfect example, and I'll tell you why. Because as technology advances, it rewards the winners more and the losers less. So that top 1% guy, he gets more and more and more, which goes
how
back
many
to my
like how many wife this top 1% guy gonna get?
It's not about how many he will take. The question is, how many women will refuse to marry because they can't have him? That's the question.
No,
Or will at least hold out, which is exactly what we are seeing. How many women are holding out because they can't have that guy?
I really don't know what type of woman you're talking about, because like we
the
have
women that we talk about every day, Coach Kareem.
No,
single day on our channels.
Not to that degree, Mahdi. Not to that degree, because there's a lot of like some delusionists here, for example, in the Middle East, like they dream about Tom Cruise, they dream about someone from the stars, but like after 2 years, she will get married to the taxi driver that her cousin, because that's the fucking reality. When the shit hits the road, her like romantic fantasies marrying Brad Pitt will go away. This is just a fog. This is just a fog. Like
why do we have
when
incels and black pill guys in the first place, Coach Kareem, is because women are holding out. They may eventually pair up, but by 2030, 45% of all prime-aged working women, you know this stat, will be single and childless. In the United States.
We're talking about the West.
They will be single and childless. Why, Kareem? Because they are holding out. They refuse to settle. So I go back to my original question.
By the way, 45% is not majority, by the way.
It's still a lot. Yeah. It's a lot of women.
Of course, a lot, but that does not consider.
It doesn't have to be a majority for it to be significant. 10% is significant.
I totally agree.
What do we say? 45%?
Yeah, 45% in
you got to imagine you're in a room with 10 women. 4 are going to be outright against you, and the one's going to be on the fence. You're going to have to convince her. So basically 50%. You might as well just say 50%.
Yeah. But that's like what women, my main point in the Muslim community, what young woman says on the social media is totally different from what they do in the real life. It's really totally different. Like she will tell you she needs someone with the private jet, and she will marry the neighbor plumber.
So is that what we're saying? So why does this space exist? Why do we exist then? There's no problem. The women are marrying up. There's no problem.
Our channel.
Why do we exist?
Our channel shouldn't be a thing.
We shouldn't have any followers because women are marrying. Men are married to these women. What's the problem?
No,
There's no problem.
I didn't say there's no problem, but I'm not seeing that 95% of women will only accept to get married to the 1/10 of 1% of the men in the society.
I accept that.
Okay.
I
Ling
accept
Ling's back here, and she's saying what Coach Kareem is talking about is amongst Arab and Asian women, but it's not like Western women. It's not like that, you know. And
Mm.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
might
generally,
be,
our
it might be
crowd are
severe.
Western brothers.
It might be severe. It might be more severe in the Western
Oh,
world.
it's
Yeah, but
out here.
even not to this degree. Like 95% of
I
females will
can't
never
tell you.
accept.
I don't know what the numbers are. I couldn't tell you honestly. It would be disingenuous for me to even guess. But I can say with confidence that more women today are holding out for longer than they did 50 years ago.
Congratulations! I don't have egg to be ruined. Like they have them.
Okay, but that's an emotional argument. We're not dealing with the practicality, which is men, virile men wanting to do as a man wants to do, and he's out here having to just hold himself together for the sake of Allah because he's unable to find that halal outlet.
Indeed.
This is a problem. And that's I'm trying to empathize with this demographic of men who are growing, by the way. I saw a stat the other day. It was actually Rolo who put it up. Apparently, I can't remember, was it 50%, 40%? Wallahi, I can't remember. There's a large percentage of men between the ages of 20 and 30 who are still virgin. My head would explode if I was still virgin by 30. I can't even fathom it, yani. This is becoming a norm. This is becoming normal in the West. I can't speak for the East, but this is becoming a norm. That's a problem because it's not normal.
That's
Just
a
Jones
great
Barakallah Peak for the super chat. Why what you want, but buy what you can afford. Kevin Samuels.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah, that's the point. Like you can say you want a private jet with the sheikh, with a private island, and I will be waiting for this Prince Charming to come with his private jet to marry me. You will rest. You will rest in peace.
Ibiza Wavy says the stat is 30%, 18 to 13-year-old. 30% of 18 to 30-year-olds in the chat.
Let's look this back and let me ask this different because we're already surprisingly, I'm amazed. We're up on an hour. That's shocking, man. This is the fastest hour ever. Let me ask y'all a question. We see this happening. We can't control what the women do. The women are going to be goofy. Goofy's going to be goofy. We can't stop women from being goofy.
Yeah,
but
that's what I'm saying.
We can talk to the dudes, and we are all whether guys want to hear this or not. I'm going to be honest about it. I'm in a business here, and my business is helping men. You know what I'm saying? So if you're going to get my time, understand that it's a business. How can we help these brothers who are out here in despair when actually what we're doing is we're not giving them the keys to despair. We're trying to give them the keys to the success. What's the alternative? How do we change the program? How do we help these dudes understand that, the game, if you want to be in it, you got to play it. You can't just be standing in the field. You know what I'm saying? Like with your hands on your socks. You gotta play. What do we do? How do we fix this? How do we help these dudes?
Coach Kareem, تفضل أخي.
Barakallah fiqh. First of all, like guys, you're like my young brothers. Like listen carefully, and that's what I tell my young brothers also. Life is harsh. Life is really harsh. The game is rigged, and it's very hard. And if you are not getting better and better, if you do not understand the rules, if you're not getting better and better, the probability and the chances of you win the situation is very low. It's very low. And by the way, keep in mind, keep this as a ring in your ear. Complaining about the game will never change it. Complaining about the game will never change it. You can complain all time, all day, all night, on Twitter, on YouTube, on every social media platform. The woman is this, the woman is that, the laws is this, the laws is that, blah, blah, blah. You can keep whining like a weak female. Let's keep it kosher. Female in the corner. That will never change anything. You can't control the market. You can control your skills. You can't control the game. You can understand it and learn how to beat it. So do the work, man. Do the work. It's not going to be easy. I know it is harsh, but you are the man. You have to do it. That's it.
I mean, I agree with you completely. putting in the work. What choice do you have, gentlemen? Give up? Because if you don't put in the work, then what other options do you have? You don't have a choice but to put in the work. And I'm with Coach Kareem with this completely. And this is something that we have, repeated ad infinitum on this channel, on other channels. This is a given. I will also say, however, that the point that I mentioned at the beginning of the stream with regards to these sisters who are looking for these types of arrangements is something that at least should be considered and perhaps even discussed amongst the students of knowledge or the scholars as a minimum. Because from my vantage point, my heart goes out to these good, decent, respectable young men. Deen, he's on point. What did the Prophet ﷺ say? Married your daughters to the top 10% man? No, he said if his deen and his character impresses you, fazawwiju, right? So his deen and his character is on point, and he's still virgin, and he's still unable to get married. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plus years. Shinohai, what is this? So we need to look at other practical solutions. We need to consider genetic variables as well. You need to understand what lane you need to play. And this idea of you can become whatever you want, you were sold a lie. You cannot become whatever you want. It is a lie. Please understand this. This is a grift. If you are 5'3", you are not playing in the NBA. Forget it. If you're 5'3", if you're 6'6", you will never become an elite jockey, horse rider. The jockeys, horse riding. It's just not going to happen. All jockeys are short, light, and slight. So understand where you are. You need to know where you are on the chessboard, like Tate would say. Understand where you stand so that you can start plotting your moves accordingly. So you combine these different factors, and inshallah ta'ala, I don't know, man. Wallahi.
Yeah, 6 feet plus cannot be a fighter pilot, by the way.
No way. Really?
Yeah, you can't be. No, you can't fit in the F-16 or F-18. You can't.
Wow.
They take short and intelligence guy, yeah.
Wow.
Like, and physically capable guy.
You literally, it's two things. It's the G-forces and the ejection seat.
Yo,
yeah, physically capability. That's what I meant.
I didn't know that. Subhanallah.
Yeah, blood's got to pump too far. And you hit them high G's, boy, you're out. My take is this, and I made a whole video about it. They'll be coming out because I'm like several weeks ahead on videos, so they just come out every other day. Because I record like 3 videos a day. So anyway, listen, guys, they've said it already. What I'm about to say, we're really rehashing the same thing because there are no other answers. You have to do the work. That's just the reality. You got to put in the work. And if you want something, you're going to have to strive for it. And you're not always going to get what you want. That's not real life. You're not always going to get everything you want. And even if you do get everything you want, you're not always going to get it the way you want it. Because that's not real life. You have to learn how to absolutely, gentlemen, listen to me. This is an important point that too many people have taken from women of our time. You can't enjoy everything. You got to learn. We're men. Listen to me. Chase the freaking pain. Chase the pain. Chase it. I made a video. Men are muscle, women are in their skin. What does muscle need? Muscle needs to go under pressure. It needs to rip and tear so it can grow and become stronger. You got to chase the pain, man. It can't be comfortable. You're not going to be anything great being comfortable. You see them comfortable people, them rich kids, they come off, they got them chubby fingers or whatever else. Those ones who just like enjoying dad's money and they really don't do anything else. And then dad's ripped up, he's like, yo, how are y'all even related? Look at Arnold Schwarzenegger's sons. Look at the difference between him and his sons. Well, actually, one of his sons. But the point is, complaining, again, ain't going to do nothing about it. It's like Coach Kareem said, the game still keeps on going on. You complain about the game's still going to be played. If you stand on the sideline, the game's still going to be going on. The player's still going to be on the field, and there's going to be those brothers that are going to get out there. They're going to take their licks. They're going to take their smacks. They're going to leave the field, and there's going to be those dudes that take their licks multiple times. They're going to get up, and then he's going to be a monster one day. And he's going to have everything you wanted. Why? Because he stayed on the field. That's why going MGTOW don't mean nothing. MGTOW wants things to go back to some magical days when everything was great. But guess what? You weren't on the field. When it goes back to those days, those dudes that are in the field are still going to be the champs, even in your magical times that are supposed to reappear. Because they have the advantage of staying in the field. You can't have what you want and be weak. You can't do it. You can't.
You know,
Yeah.
this reminds me of what you're saying. Have you heard of the Penny Gambit? I know you want to conclude, and I'll just say real quick. There's something called the Penny Gambit. Many of you may have heard of it, which is, and it's a trick question. What would you rather take, $5 million or a penny that compounds in value, that doubles in value for 30 days straight, right? And if you take one penny and compound it 30 times, at the end of the 30 days, you have 10 million something dollars, right? Which is double the 5 million. And this, if you were to take that Penny Gambit example, and each time you compound or double from one to the next, you just put it in like years or something, or even months. Success compounds. Like, it's hard to explain, but it's not linear. The bamboo tree, for 5 years, if you water it, it doesn't grow a single inch. On the 5th year, in 6 weeks, it grows 90 feet. That's how success is as well. So it's not linear. You're thinking, I did this today. Where's my outcome? No, you need to do this today, tomorrow, and the day after, and next year, and get nothing. And then one day, it all comes all at once. The dam bursts, and it comes all at once. So just hang in there, brothers, because honestly, you don't have a choice. It's that or...
And let me tell you about an advantage that you do not feel, because privileges is invisible for who's enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
You have access to information that whole of your ancestry in the past 10,000 years doesn't have. That's a great advantage, guys. Like for you, in this new generation. When I was 15 years old, I don't have this access to information. But nowadays, you have this access, the access to the best teachers, best coaches, best content creator, best professors, and like the solid data also. Like best teachers, best courses, best professors. You have the access to that on every single day in your hand. So what is the excuse to not learn yourself, to not search and find some answers for your questions, to learn how to do this or how to do that? Like you have this accessibility. Nobody from the human being before like 20 years and before have this. So this is a great advantage. You have to be like big fat lazy to not take advantage of this. Yeah,
It's too much work, and that's you can't avoid it. You got to chase the pain. It's got to hurt. That's the only way you're going to develop. I'm not saying go out and like put yourself in therapy, but if you don't experience it, you ain't gonna get it. So, guys, if you're feeling despondent, if you feel the information, hey, alhamdulillah. So, if you're feeling like it's just too much for you, understand you're probably on the right path, because that's your mind telling you, dang, I know what I got to do, and I don't like the idea of it. But you already know that the body desires comfort, which is the death of anything great. So chase it, man. That means lean into it. Barakallahu fikum for showing up. Man, that was the fastest hour we ever went through. Coach Kareem, I promise we didn't like conspire to team up on you, bro. It was like everybody's disagreeing with you today. That's the first time that actually happened. Alhamdulillah, you see, and this is a good example of like some alhamdulillah how brothers disagree with brothers and we stay cool.
Yeah,
I don't know how people be out here getting mad in the comments, and then you get those troll stupid comments. I'm American, I'm nasty, and then they all mad and hate you and stuff, and be stalking you for the next 5 years. You know, I don't get it. It's the weirdest thing. So barakallahu fikum for that, man. Anything you guys want to drop before we go?
Thank you. It was a great panel, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. I enjoyed this. And respectful debate is important, because that's iron sharpens iron, you see, and this is where we can get closer to the more accurate answer. So jazakallah khair, Coach Kareem. I appreciated that.
Barakallah fiqh. Barakallah fiqh.
More better. This guy wants to know how he contacts you, Coach.
It's info@redpillarabic.com, or like you can book a counseling through the Red Pill Arabic /services. Like you can send me email or like go to the web page. Yeah, thank you.
Cool. All right, guys. Inshallah, thanks for tuning in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. We will see you guys on the next one.
Wa alaikum assalam.